An Anti-War Guide 3. Chapter 1. A pro-military country compromises freedom. A strong military always leads to less freedom. Think of a military force as the muscle for business. Money runs the world. It's competitive. Countries need a military to protect and expand their economic interests. A military needs war, turbulence, and trouble in order to create more business for itself. Military forces are bullies by nature. They want to fight. That's what they were trained to do. That's what they have all that equipment for. Military forces don't like dissent. They want to control everything, especially their critics, the people who don't want war and think they're a waste of money. A false flag operation is when the military stages attacks and trouble in its own country or in a foreign in order to send out the message that there are disturbing elements looking to injure our side, so we need to strengthen ourselves, fight them, and we need stronger laws to catch them and punish them. Military forces waste money, but the other big problem is that they are aggressive and want to move their nation more towards a dictatorial police state. Look at all the new laws and executive orders passed in the United States. There is a list of them at wrsracket.org and presidency.ucsb.edu. Several websites and news outlets routinely create lists of all the places on planet Earth where there is some kind of war or violent conflict. This is meant to scare us and keep us in a constant state of fear, just like George Orwell's novel 1984 portrayed, a constant sense of fear which gives the authorities the power to control us in the name of national security. Right now, there are some kinds of violent conflicts in these areas. Middle East, Israel-Palestine, Côte d'Ivoire, Libya, Ukraine, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Iran, South Sudan, Somalia, Syria, Central African Republic, Yemen, Burma, Iraq, Belarus, Western Balkans, North Korea, Liberia, Lebanon, Colombia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Russian Federation. What is the real reason Americans are fighting in the Middle East? Is it oil, or are they the suckers sucked into protecting their ally there? Is it to bring freedom and democracy to these places, or is it to get the different sides to fight each other, Sunnis, Shiites, Kurds, and Persians, so that the Americans can go in, pick up the pieces and control the entire area, including the oil and the heroin trade? Syria President Assad said that the West are supporting the terrorists because they want to wreak havoc on the Middle East. Here is the quote. "As you know, we are at war with terrorism, and this terrorism is supported by foreign powers. This means that we are in a state of complete war, but as for Western cooperation with al-Nusra Front, this is a reality, because we know that Turkey supports al-Nusra and ISIS by providing them with arms, money, and terrorist volunteers. And it is well known that Turkey has close relations with the West. Erdogan and Davutoglu cannot make a single move without coordinating first with the United States and other Western countries. Al-Nusra and ISIS operate with such a force in the region under Western cover. Who are ISIS? And who are these groups? They are simply extremist products of the West." Sana'a, September 16, 2015. It's the divide and conquer plan. The war is like a big soap opera. You can immerse yourself in it and watch it somewhere on TV all day long, or you can watch a minute of it on the news at night, but it's always there, just like the novel 1984 predicted, a permanent war to keep the masses occupied and entertained. Somebody said the US military gave ISIS weapons and money to go to Syria to fight Assad. How the corporate media reports war. The big media companies are either owned by multinational corporations who make money from war products and or services, or sell advertising to these companies. They serve their advertisers and the agendas of their owners. They report war from the point of view patriotic, good old boys victory stuff. They rarely show the true state of war, the innocent dead bodies or the bodies of the homeboys in caskets. These caskets are brought back home quietly. They don't want the people to see pictures of them. We hardly ever see the damage our side does to innocent people. There is a big propaganda machine keeping the war on terror alive in the media. They want us to be afraid and give support to the government and the military to protect us. We're allowed to defend ourselves really means we're allowed to destroy the subhuman enemy. If you go to the book of Joshua in the Bible, the 5th book, you stories about how God ordered his people to destroy the enemy to the last woman and child supposedly because they were satanic or had tainted blood in them from the fallen angels. This is the war mentality, destroy them to the last man. There is a 1936 movie with a black cast. At the end, they show them marching with guns. They say we'll fight to the last man. I won't fight for some rich guy. A UN report states that there are less than 500 members of Al-Qaeda in the entire world. Most people are afraid to speak against the war. The ones that do are often criticized. The Occupy Peace organization barely gets 100 people showing up to their events. There's an internal rift between the pro-war people and the anti-war people. By being an imperialistic meanie, the American and British governments accomplish two things. 1. They are hated by the world, which extends to a hate for the citizens. 2. They spawn hate, which creates violent freedom fighters and freedom fighter groups who lash out against these imperialist countries with violent acts. By being a bully, you cause a rise in violent terrorist acts. A war economy not only takes money away from production of useful things to spend it on military equipment, but the government budget takes money away from infrastructure, education, housing, industry, and social services to pay for the military infrastructure. If we wanted to, we, the human race, could have invented some kind of free energy machine by now that would have eliminated the use of oil and gas, which is a big part of what imperialism is about, to protect foreign oil interests. Smedley Butler said, "The general public shoulders the bill." And what is this bill? This bill renders a horrible accounting. Newly placed gravestones. Mangled bodies. Shattered minds. Broken hearts and homes. Economic instability. Depression and all its attendant miseries. Backbreaking taxation for generations and generations. We could greatly improve life if we choose peace, then take all that money we spend on the military, the CIA and the NSA on improving our lives. Platform of the Anti-Imperialist League, October, 1899, Chapter 30. We hold that the policy known as imperialism is hostile to liberty and tends toward militarism, an evil from which it has been our glory to be free. We regret that it has become necessary in the land of Washington and Lincoln to reaffirm that all men, of whatever race or color, are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We maintain that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. We insist that the subjugation of any people is criminal aggression and open disloyalty to the distinctive principles of our government. We earnestly condemn the policy of the present national administration in the Philippines. It seeks to extinguish the spirit of 1776 in those islands. We deplore the sacrifice of our soldiers and sailors, whose bravery deserves admiration even in an unjust war. We denounce the slaughter of the Filipinos as a needless horror. We protest against the extension of American sovereignty by Spanish methods. We demand the immediate cessation of the war against liberty, begun by Spain and continued by us. We urge that Congress be promptly convened to announce to the Filipinos our purpose to concede to them the independence for which they have so long fought and which of right is theirs. The United States have always protested against the doctrine of international law which permits the subjugation of the weak by the strong. A self-governing state cannot accept sovereignty over an unwilling people. The United States cannot act upon the ancient heresy that might makes right. Imperialists assume that with the destruction of self-government in the Philippines by American hands, all opposition here will cease. This is a grievous error. Much as we abhor the war of criminal aggression in the Philippines, greatly as we regret that the blood of the Filipinos is on American hands, we more deeply resent the betrayal of American institutions at home. The real firing line is not in the suburbs of Manila. The foe is of our own household. The attempt of 1861 was to divide the country. That of 1899 is to destroy its fundamental principles and noblest ideals. Whether the ruthless slaughter of the Filipinos shall end next month or next year is but an incident in a contest that must go on until the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States are rescued from the hands of their betrayers. Those who dispute about standards of value while the Republic is undermined will be listened to as little as there who would wrangle about the small economies of the household while the house is on fire. The training of a great people for a century, the aspiration for liberty of a vast immigration are forces that will hurl aside those who in the delirium of conquest seek to destroy the character of our institutions. We deny that the obligation of all citizens to support their government in times of grave national peril applies to the present situation. If an administration may with impunity ignore the issues upon which it was chosen, deliberately create a condition of war anywhere on the face of the globe, debauch the civil service for spoils to promote the adventure, organize a truth-suppressing censorship and demand of all citizens a suspension of judgment and their unanimous support while it chooses to continue the fighting, representative government itself is imperiled. ******. We propose to contribute to the defeat of any person or party that stands for the forcible subjugation of any people. We shall oppose for re-election all who in the White House or in Congress betray American liberty in pursuit of un-American gains. We still hope that both of our great political parties will support and defend the Declaration of Independence in the closing campaign of the century. We hold, with Abraham Lincoln, that no man is good enough to govern another man without that man's consent. When the white man governs himself, that is self-government, but when he governs himself and also governs another man, that is more than self-government, that is despotism. Our reliance is in the love of liberty which God has planted in us. Our defense is in the spirit which prizes liberty as the heritage of all men in all lands. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God cannot long retain it. From C. Schur's Speeches, Correspondence, and Political Papers, Frederick Bancroft ed. www.norton.com/college/history/ralph/workbook/ralprs30a.htm, created by Thomas Piercy, Ph.D. and Mary Dixon.